Hey everybody, thought I'll finally do this. I've passed 11 AWS certifications and I never failed. There's a reason for this. I've got an approach that I think can be helpful to you, and I want to share that with you in this specific short clip that I want to do. Now, there are some things that you need to know, and I'll start off with the basics, stuff that is definitely out there that is on AWS's website and is made available for you. Now, there are some must-knows. First is that this is a foundational exam, the Cloud Practitioner Exam. It is foundational. It's 90 minutes long. There are 65 questions that is made available for you. And from those 65 questions, you have 50 that's actually been used as a score, but they also have 15 that isn't scored that they use for their own purposes. But there's 65 questions that you will be presented to. Cost 100 USD, and you can either do this in person or you can do it online. I've done all 11 of my exams. I've done online, and sometimes there's some issues with bandwidth, etc., but they're quite helpful. Got no issues. Just make sure you've got a good stable internet line. Make sure that you are in a private place. Make sure that nobody can disturb you. Online, there is a lot of things that you can't do. You can't put your hand in front of your mouth. You must be on screen. They watch you from your own camera. Your audio is on as well, so you can't talk. You can't say a word. You can't mumble. It is fairly secure. So there's a lot of things involved with this, but it still has the benefit of you can do it from the comfort of your own office or home. Can't have additional screens on a desk. It must be a clean desk, just you and your laptop. That is it. Available on camera all the time. You can't move and shift outside of that camera angle at all. But it definitely does have its benefit. I prefer that, to be honest. So that is the must-knows. That's part of the must-knows that as far as AWS is concerned. And then they also have a formal guide on their website where they will tell you about the exam styles that you need to get to know it. This is their helps and tips for you. Get your AWS knowledge and skills, find it online, find it somewhere, review and practice for your exam, and then assess your exam readiness, doing maybe some mock exams as well. So that is their formal guide that I just took off their website and I cleaned it up a bit. It's a couple of pages long, but it comes down to those 4 points over there. Then the domains that they test you on. So this is fairly important. I think you must take note of this, that they do have different weights based on the different domains. So as far as cloud concepts are concerned, it is 24% that they will score you. So the exam is 24% of those questions would be geared towards cloud concepts, 30% towards security and compliance. So you need to know identity and access management. There's some videos on that as well. You need to know compliance and artifact, two of the tools that they speak to in there as well. Then they speak about cloud technology and services. That is the most points. 34% of this exam will be based on your cloud technology and services. Do you know the services? Do you know SQS from SNS? There's a video on that as well. And they do try to get you confused about some of the services, network access controllers versus security groups. There's a video on that too. I purposefully created videos because I know these are the kind of questions that you do get and is made and that you will face on there. And then 12% on pricing, billing, and then the different types of support plans that you have available in AWS as well. So you need to be sure that you, for instance, put more emphasis on the cloud technologies and services. You'll need to know that. Then thereafter, I want to show you and speak through my approach, what I do when I am preparing for a new exam. I'm right now at the stage, I'm preparing for my last exam, and I am following this approach as well. So my approach is as follows. I create a baseline. So if it is a new technology, first what I will do is I will study, get to know that technology. Then what I do is I do a baseline. What is a baseline? A baseline for me is a mock exam. I'll do a mock exam, and then I want to find out, based on this domain and the weights of those domains, how well do I perform? how much of the cloud technologies and services do I know? Maybe in my mock, I find out that out of 100%, maybe I only get 17% in that area. Then I know I need to do some work, and I can target my learning in those specific areas. So I set my baseline so that I can know across these 4 domains, how well do I know the technology or the service. Then what I will do is, and also there is this document that's made available for you on AWS's website. It is the Certified Cloud Practitioner CLF CO2. It's a new one that's out there. And they have a lot of information that you need. They'll talk about the different services that you need to consider as well. And I might talk through some of them and then just throw that out for you as well. So study the material. They give you a guide as to the material that you should be looking at. So this is all possible. Know the differences between the services. They do a lot of comparisons, try to confuse you with the one from the other, like SQS versus SNS or network access controllers versus security groups. So try your best to create matrices where you compare the 2 services together. And then service quotas are also equally important. Many of the services, they have quotas. For instance, VPCs in a region, in an account, you can only have 5 of them. And then there are numerous other service quotas and limits that you need to know as well. So get an understanding of that. That is my approach. For instance, when I look at networking, for instance, how many elastic IP addresses can I have? I'll want to know all of those. And it's easy just to go drop it down, look at the website. They tell you they have service quotas, web pages on each of their technologies as well. So it's made available for you. Then something else that I do lastly is when I go sit my exam, I need you to understand that it is multiple choice and also multiple selections, right? So it could be select A, B, C, or D, or select 2, or select 3 out of the 4 options or 5 options that they make available for you. Now, the other big one, and I'll mark this in red, that I want to make you totally aware of when we are talking about during your exam, is that there is no penalties for wrong answers. There is no penalties if your answer is incorrect. So guess. I know it sounds strange that I'm saying guess, but I'm absolutely serious. If you don't know the answer, guess. You have a 1 out of 4, 1 out of 8 chance of getting it right. I'd rather guess something than put nothing in, because if I put 0 in, I have a guaranteed 0. I'd rather put something in and get maybe some of the odds in there to get a right answer. You get 90 minutes for this, as mentioned over there as well. And if you get to a question and you get stuck and you don't know what the answer is, or you're not sure between A or B or D or C, flag them. So you can click on a button on top and you can flag that question, so that if you have time at the end of your exam, it brings up for review all of your flagged items. You can then go back and check them out if you have the time. Talking about time, there is another thing that you should also be looking at is this. If English is not your first language, you can apply for an accommodation. You do it once, and it is now attached to your user ID. And for every exam, you get an additional 15 minutes as well. Now, my philosophy is I'd rather have it and not need it than need it and not have it at all. So take use of that 30 minutes. So apply for accommodation if English is not your first language. You can mark the questions I mentioned that, and then you can review the answers before. And if there's anything that you maybe want to change, you have that option to change it then as well. And then my other approach that I have to my exams as well is I'll read out the question. And then as I read it out, I will go and I will try to look at keywords. So I'll look at keywords. What are they asking for? I'll check for keywords. Oh, right, they are mentioning latency. I'll make a note of that in my mind. They are mentioning a database. They're mentioning a lot of reads to this database. And in my mind, I will start thinking about, oh, maybe they are talking about a caching service. Maybe they are talking about Elastic Cache. Is it one of the options? Then I'll go look at the options. to see if it is in there. This way, you save a lot of time as well during your exams. Some of the exams, I leave after an hour and I'm done and I still pass because I follow this methodology of looking for keywords. What is it they really asking? Many times there'll be a lot of fluff. They'll try and confuse you with a lot of text in there. Try and decipher, figure out what the keywords is. What is the actual ask? Latency, database, lots of reads taking place. Oh, maybe it's a caching service. Or there could be a question that says something like, hey, we've got AWS and we're not allowed to go outside to the internet to get objects out of our S3 bucket. Oh, great. In the back of my mind, I've done my homework. I know they're probably talking about a gateway, a VPC gateway for S3. And if it's one of those options, I know I'm closer to the answer. Then if I'm still unsure, what I'll do is if there's maybe 4 questions and I need to make a decision between question number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4. Many times in those 4 options, there is maybe one that you know is totally wrong. It doesn't make sense for this question. I exclude it and maybe there's another one. So now I'm stuck with 2. If I don't know, I will guess between those and say, all right, it is either one of those. And I'll make a guess if I really don't know, because then my odds increases as opposed to just leaving that empty. There is no negative marking, so you don't need to worry about your marks being deducted. This is the approach that I follow when I go into my exams. Before I go, when I prepare for the exams, I do look at this very often, the different domains, where I need to put a lot more attention on. I will consider that as well. And again, I make sure that I prepare, I set my baseline, I know my weak areas based on that baseline, I know what I need to concentrate on, and this saves you time in your studying as well. So this is my approach, and it has worked for me so far. I hope that it works for you as well. And this is what I wanted to share with you. I hope that you pass all of your exams, but that is my approach, and I've never failed that exam yet. See you in the next one, everybody. Bye.